Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome back to Elite Dangerous on the PlayStation 4. Now in this video I was about to show you through the engineers and collecting material. If you remember at the end of the previous video I said that's exactly what I was going to do this time. But there's a new opportunity turned up and I want to show you all about that. And this one in particular is a community goal. And these are great for making a lot of money, and especially early on in the game. But even late in the game, they're one place that people constantly go to make a lot of money. So we're just going to bring up the station services menu here. And we can then, we're going to get a bit of fuel first. And then we're going to have a look at the mission board. You'll see right at the top of the mission board, there's a little grey option there. It says community goals. It says one at this location, for elsewhere. Now you can be at any station to sign up for a community goal. You don't have to be at the one that the community goal is actually set at. But to participate in the community goal, you will actually need to be at the set location. And just look at the available missions here. Help the cooperative by delivering 2 units of lethal weapons. 100,000 credits and 750,000 credits each for those. Quite interesting. Anyway, we're looking at community goals here. And you can see already I've signed up for 2 community goals. I've signed up for the Safe Haven, the one in Acellus Primus, which is my current location, and I've signed up for Restoring Order in Rakapilla. Now there's one in Erevat, there's one in LHS 3447. Now if you've been starting out in the PlayStation 4 or indeed on any of the other platforms, you'll know these stations, these systems rather, because they are all starting systems. We're going to jump right in here to the Erevat one and read out the top couple of paragraphs there. What it's saying is that a spokesperson for the Pilots Federation has announced a new peacekeeping initiative centred on the Erevat system. The purpose of the initiative is to minimise criminal activity in the region and thereby ensure the safety of inexperienced pilots. The spokesperson elaborated on the nature of the campaign. Many of the galaxy's independent pilots start their careers in Erevat, and we believe they should be able to operate without fear of being targeted by opportunistic aggressors. So the idea here then is that you can take on these opportunistic aggressors, and well, essentially they're pirates, and they will give you bounty vouchers when you destroy them, and you can come hand these in at your chosen station and make yourself some money. Now community goals have tiers. You can see on the right hand side of the screen there that it's currently unlocked to tier 2 with the little progress bar slowly creeping up. Community goals are collective efforts. They represent the progress of every player in the game across all platforms working towards a set goal, in this case unlocking tier 8. When we reach tier 8, the community goal will be complete. Alternatively, the community goal is completed at the end of the time limit here, which is 5 days and 19 hours. Now so far there's been 1,219 contributors towards this community goal in Erevat, and a total of 646 million credits in bounty vouchers handed in. So if we go down, in addition to earning the bounty rewards, which you normally earn when you destroy a ship, and then you hand that in through the contacts panel, when you come to the community goal, you'll earn an additional reward, and you can see there that the top 10 commanders will receive 2.6 million, the top 10% will receive 2.4, and so on with the top 100%. That means basically anyone who even hands in just 1 credit of bounty vouchers will receive 200,000 credits. Now I'm not going to sign up to the one in Erevat because it's a bit too far for me to travel in the ship I've currently got. I'm currently in a Viper Mark III. Actually, I will sign up for it just to show you what it's like. I've already signed up for one, and I want you to see what happens when you sign up. So imagine I'm in Erevat now. We'll just pretend we're there. Actually come through to this community goal, and I press sign up, and I've now got an option there to the right of it saying that I'm signed up. Now you do need to be signed up to the community goal before you can participate. If you hand in the bounty vouchers at the station and you're not signed up, your contribution won't count towards that community goal. So I've already signed up for the one here in Acellus Primus, and I'm going to do a little bit towards that. Now as I say, I have changed my ship. I'm in a Viper Mark III. Let's just have a quick look in the outfitting screen and you can see what this is all about. So the Viper is a fairly cheap combat focused ship. Quite good at what it does. especially if you start outfitting it with the higher spec modules. Now the ship itself costs around 146,000 credits, and I've actually purchased all of that, and we fit some hard points on here. We've got 2 medium pulse lasers as well as 2 small pulse lasers. Now I'd recommend you'd have 2 pulse lasers as well as 2 multi-cannons. Multi-cannons are much better at taking down the other ship's hull. Unfortunately, there's no multi-cannons in stock in any of the local stations, and as yet I haven't been bothered to travel around. We've got a chaff launcher. Chaff launchers are good when someone's locked onto you. You can use that to disrupt their tracking of their weapons upon you. Doesn't work if they're using fixed weapons, but most NPCs use gimbaled or turrets. We've got a shield booster, which will enhance your shield. Down the bottom there, you can see the amount of energy consumed by my ship. It says max is 11 megawatts, and when the weapons are retracted, I'm using 8.7 megawatts. And when they're deployed, I'm using 10.7 megawatts. So I'm within the limit of the ship here. But to do that, you will need to improve your core internals. I've got a 3B power plant. At the time, I didn't have enough money to buy a 3A power plant, but I have got some more money now. So I could purchase that if I want. But at the moment, there's no need because I'm within the tolerance limits of the ship. I've improved the thrusters. I recommend doing that. And I've improved the power distributor, perhaps one of the most important components of this ship, because it represents how fast each capacitor, the systems capacitor, the engine one, and the weapons can recharge. So the better your power distributor, the faster everything will recharge. And currently I've got some 3C bi-weave shields. You can go for some 3B regular shields or 3A regular shields. Bi-weave charge a little bit faster than the rest, but they've got a slightly lower capacity. So then, we signed up for the community goal. What we want to do is go out and destroy some NPC ships. If you remember from the previous videos, I've said there's a number of ways of doing that. We can go to a nav beacon. You sometimes find pirates dropping into there. Or alternatively, we can go to a ring system, a resource extraction site around a gas giant. And there's one here at Acellus 3. So that's where we're going to head to right now. So, as I said in the previous video, we come to resource extraction sites when we want a bounty hunt. At least that's one of the good places of coming, one of the locations I personally prefer. We've got a number of different types of resource extraction sites, and for the purposes of this video, I can either drop into the medium one here, or I can drop into the low one. I think this time we'll drop into the low one. I think previously I dropped into a medium one. There's plenty here in Acellus Primus. I'm not sure how many you'll find in Erevan. It's been a while since I've actually been there, or Erenin rather. Was it Erenin or Erevat for the other community goal? Either way. So this one looks like it's located in a gap between the rings, so there'll be no asteroids in there. There seems to be a bit of an issue in Acellus Primus, so I'm not going to go to that one. Let's have a look for another one. Now, in case any of you are wondering, I have still got the Sidewinder, which is still fairly well equipped. We go to the regular extraction site. Assuming that's not also between a gap. Not that it really matters, but I prefer to fly where you're meant to fly among the asteroids. The gaps here seem to be not populated with asteroids for some reason. Probably because they're gaps between the rings. Although you would have thought that an extraction site wouldn't spawn there, because without there being any asteroids there, there's no asteroids to mine. So why there's ships there trying to mine invisible asteroids, who knows. But here we are then in the regular resource extraction site, and we're going to take on a few of the ships. Straight away we got a federal gunship. Now these are quite powerful ships on the mid-range spec, I'd say, maybe slightly below mid-range. A little bit too much to take on in a Viper normally, but like I say, we're in a regular extraction site here, although I'd prefer to do this in a low one, taken on with the low spec sites. Of course, being here, we do get some police protection as well, so we are going to try and take him on, or I'm going to try and take him on, and we'll see what happens. Now, as I mentioned previously, please don't take too many combat hints from me. I'm really not that good when it comes to combat. If you do want a lot of combat tips or combat tutorials, then I highly recommend YouTuber Vindicator Jones. If you go to YouTube and search for his name, he's got some very good combat tutorials there. So it looks like this gunship is trying to scan another ship over there. He's flying away from us. It looks like he's pointing towards that green vessel over there. It's green because it's friendly to us. That's probably local police forces. So what we're going to do now is open fire on this before it gets out of hand and he starts flying away. We're stripping his shields down quite quick, and that's because I've got the good weapons on here. They're very effective at taking down shields, and it's also because he's very low ranked. And you can see I've nearly lost all my shields there. So it's always a problem when it comes to fighting these sorts of ships. And I'm making a real pig's ear of this, so I wouldn't be surprised if I end up exploding in a minute. Actually went flight assist off when I was trying to deploy the chaff. I'm not used to the setup just yet on the PlayStation controller. Excuses, eh? So he's nearly down. Fortunate because we're getting some help from the local authorities here. You can see there's an anaconda attacking him at the moment. We're still getting hit. I'm going to deploy some more chaff. And fortunately we didn't need to worry about the chaff, even though it has been deployed, because they took him out. So we got 75,000 credits for that. Do be very careful with the sorts of ships that you do take on. Earlier I was in a low resource extraction site and quite successfully and quite easily took on an anaconda. So we've got another anaconda over there. That's probably the one that helped us out. Oh, it's an alliance enforcer. This one isn't the local defence forces, local protection forces, or the police, but they're clean. Do pay attention to the status of who you're attacking. Don't shoot until you know they're wanted. And you can see that down on the right hand side of the HUD there. If you shoot on them before you've actually resolved whether or not they're hostile, you will get a fine. You'll be considered basically you're considered a pirate. So what else have we got? We got any more hostiles around here? We've got a Python. Now the Python is probably going to be more of a challenge than the gunship I took on. You saw it jumped a bit there. Seems to be doing that at the moment. A bit of a glitch. Not quite sure what's going on. Maybe some sort of performance problem. So the Python is clean. We're not going to take on him. There was an eagle there, but he's just disappeared out of range of the scanner. It's an Alliance Enforcer. I found most of the Alliance Enforcers are usually clean, and you can see this one's in a wing. It says 2 of 2 down on the bottom left of the HUD there, next to the hologram of the eagle. So do be aware of that as well. Sometimes you might see a wanted target, but he might be in a wing of 3, and you don't want to take on 3 ships unless you know you can handle them. So there's not a lot of ships here at the moment. What I would normally do is spend a good half hour here or an hour here. Some people spend a whole bunch of hours just racking up the bounty vouchers. But for the moment the idea is just to show you how to do a quick run through of this. So what I'm going to do is leave the area now and just hand in the bounty vouchers that I've already got. And you can see I've made 93,000 credits in just those few moments. So we'll head back to the station now and hand them in. So then, here we are back at Beagle 2 landing, about to land ourselves, and then we can hand in the bounty vouchers. Now again, I will reiterate, I don't think it can be understated enough, make sure that you're signed up to the community gold before you hand in any vouchers, because if you don't, it will be wasted effort and your vouchers won't contribute towards your progress on the community goal. You can't do it in hindsight. So if you want to double check, do so. Otherwise, we can, I'm going to refuel and restock. Just get in the habit of always doing that, because you don't want to go outside on an empty tank. So we go to the contacts panel here, and you can see there's a 93,000 credits that I already earned. And I did earn quite a few credits on previous runs that I did yesterday. So we can now have a look at the mission board. We can check the community goal and have a look at our progress. We can see whereabouts in the ranking that we actually come. So we're signed up to the one here at Celis Primus. It's unlocked to tier 4 due to all the contribution. You can see there's 2,423 contributors, earning a grand total of 3.1 billion credits for this community goal, and I'm in the top 75% there. You can see that nets me a reward of 2 million credits. This will be paid out when the community goal ends, so either when it reaches tier 8 or at the end of the 5 days and 19 hours. Now I'm not locked in at 75% there. If I don't contribute any more, there's a chance that I could drop down to 100%. I can't drop any lower than that, but that would mean I'd get a 400,000 credit reward rather than the 2 million. Obviously the 2 million is much better. Now I could head on out there and do a load more bounty hunting, and maybe I could get myself into the top 50% and earn myself 4.1 million credits, which would be a very nice reward. But I could spend an hour or two just getting into the top 50%, only to find that a day or so, or half a day after I stop playing or stop contributing, I actually drop back down to 75%. So like I say, once you get a entry here, you're not locked in there, you can still drop down. It's determined your average position against everyone else that's also contributing here. But nonetheless, this shows you how to run the community goals here, something I highly recommend you do. It's a good way of making money very early in the game, and also it's a good way of making money later on in the game as well. A lot of people spend a lot of time doing these. You get new community goals every week basically. Usually on a Thursday a new community goal will come along. Sometimes they're just simple ones like the ones we did there. Other times, or usually most often, they're ones submitted by player groups. Player groups can submit a community goal to Frontier, and sometimes they can get themselves a space station constructed or a planetary port or something like that. Now in those cases, it's not a station that they actually own themselves, but it is a station that their faction name is attached to. And generally the community goes out and helps out with these community goals because there's a nice big fat reward involved. So then, I hope that helps you out a bit. A nice way of new players and veterans alike getting a bit of money. I'll be back very soon with some more videos. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.